There's a thing that shows up every year, gets bigger than most countries, and releases more energy in a single day than every power station on Earth put together. And you will never guess what it runs on. Not lightning, not wind, nothing dramatic. Warm water. Bath water, basically. That's the fuel. That's the whole fuel. The most powerful thing on this planet is powered by something you would happily swim in. So let's find out how that works. First thing to get straight, a hurricane isn't really a storm. It's an engine. And I don't mean that as a fancy way of saying big storm. I mean an actual machine, with fuel and a cycle and parts that keep it running. Once you see it that way, the whole thing clicks into place. So here's the fuel. When the sea gets warm enough, about 80 degrees, roughly the temperature of a decent bath, water starts lifting off the surface and rising into the air as invisible vapor. Now, here's the sneaky bit. That vapor is carrying heat with it. And when it gets up high and turns back into cloud, it dumps that heat out. Warm air rises, so more air comes rushing in underneath to fill the space. That new air picks up more warm water, which rises, which dumps more heat, which pulls in even more air. And there it is. It doesn't just get bigger, it feeds itself. So why does the whole thing turn? Because the Earth is turning underneath it. You can't feel it, but you're moving right now. And down near the equator, the ground is traveling quite a lot faster than it is up near the poles. So when air comes rushing in from every direction toward that rising column, it doesn't arrive in a straight line. It gets bent, and everything starts to curl. The whole system begins to rotate like water going down a drain, except several hundred miles across. Which leads to a genuinely strange fact worth keeping. Hurricanes cannot form at the equator. The hottest water on the planet sitting right there, absolutely perfect fuel, and nothing. Ever. Because directly on the line there's no bending going on, so nothing starts the curl. All that fuel, no ignition. Now the properly weird part. Go to the exact center of the worst weather on Earth, and you'd expect to find the very worst of it waiting for you. You find the opposite. Right in the middle, there's a hole of complete calm, sometimes 30 miles wide. Blue sky, sunshine, hardly any wind at all. Birds get caught inside and simply fly along with it for days, because it's the only peaceful place for hundreds of miles in any direction. That's the eye, and it is the single most dangerous thing about the entire storm, because people come outside. The wind stops, the sun comes out, and it feels finished. It is not finished. You are standing in the middle of a donut. In about 20 minutes, the far wall arrives. Same wind, same fury, coming from exactly the opposite direction. The eye isn't the end. It's halftime. And one more thing almost nobody expects. We talk about hurricanes entirely in terms of wind speeds, categories, roofs peeling off. But the wind is not what kills people. Water is. The storm shoves the sea ahead of itself and piles it up onto the coast. And that, plus the rain, is responsible for the overwhelming majority of deaths. The wind gets the headlines. The water does the killing. So, the most powerful thing on the planet, hundreds of miles wide, apparently unstoppable. Here's how it dies. It touches land. That's it. That's all it takes. The second it moves over dry ground, it's cut off from the warm water it was eating, and the engine starves. It weakens. It wobbles. It comes apart. The biggest storm system on Earth, defeated by a beach. It just does a truly appalling amount of damage on the way out. The most powerful thing on the planet runs on water and starves on dry land. What else is simpler than it looks? Subscribe to Obvious Questions.